Comic books are cool, and with comic books come superheroes and villains, and these friends and foes usually have their own specially designed costumes that are usually pretty iconic for the most part. But apparently, when it comes to translating these costumes onto the silver screen, that poses a huge problem for movie directors, which is why today we're going to be looking at some of the weirdest comic book movie character costumes of all time. These are some of the weirdest ones I could think of, some of the funniest ones, some of the just downright stupidest ones, and today we're looking at them because they're dumb and none of them make any sense, and they're very, very iconic for being bad. First, let's look at Green Goblin from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, at least the first one. This costume was one that just very much confused me when I watched the movie as a kid. It was just, I had always known Green Goblin to be the literal goblin that he was on his weird purple elf hat and his purple tunic throwing pumpkins at people. So when I first watched the Spider-Man movie to see that he was this green Transformer Power Ranger man, I was very surprised. The costume is almost like iridescent with the shininess of the green, where some parts look like it has purple reflections in the movie. And it's a very just bright, shiny green metallic suit with a very angular goblin-like mask with bright yellow eye lenses. This costume design for Willem Dafoe apparently was not the original design. He was supposed to have this animatronic controlled puppet goblin face thing that was supposed to be a part of his face, which is very interesting. I see why they chose to go with the Power Ranger look. I get that they were trying to modernize this character, but it didn't really feel like it did it that well. It just kind of felt like, it's iconic looking, but it doesn't really feel that great of a Green Goblin costume, and it's just very weird. I don't know why he looks like a big glowing... Oh, hold on. I don't know why he looks like a big shiny green popsicle, but he does, and that's what we got. And to be honest, Green Goblin costumes really are never, ever that great. I mean, the only two we've gotten that are live action weren't great to begin with, so hopefully whatever they do with the next Spider-Man movie will actually be decent. But this one I wanted to start off with because it's funny looking, and he looks like an elf, and it's very silly, and I mean, we can't go a weird comic book movie costume video without this guy involved. Now let's look at Deadpool from X-Men Origins. This guy is just absolutely one of the worst. This is definitely one of the worst adaptations of a superhero I've ever seen in movie form. We've gotten some really good ones, and some casting for certain characters is really great. I think Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool is a match made in heaven. Except when the first movie he was in had this dookie booty cheeks costume. This thing is absolutely terrible. I don't understand what they were trying to do. I don't understand what they were thinking. I don't know why they went with that look, but Deadpool has had an iconic look for a while, ever since the 90s, and with this movie coming out in the early 2000s, it doesn't make sense why they wouldn't have just given him his normal costume. For some reason, X-Men developers are just so scared of the X-Men's costumes, and I don't think that's too invalid of a reason. I mean, the X-Men have always had some super zany and super, let's just say creative costumes in the past. I mean, Wolverine's costume is not exactly the most cool-looking thing of all time. Yeah, it's comic accurate, but probably trying to get that to translate onto a real-life screen is probably pretty hard to do. Especially because it hasn't always been successful with making an entirely comic-accurate costume when it comes to superhero movies. I mean, even Christopher Reeve's Superman movie, which is one of the earliest live-action superhero movies ever made, doesn't exactly look the greatest. It's not a bad-made costume, it just looks low quality because they use such tight materials that just made his muscles look so flat, which is why a lot of superhero suits now don't use just the actor's actual body and then a flat suit. They usually have some kind of fake muscle suit that makes it look more heroic rather than just a dude in tights, which is what freaking Christopher Reeve was. So obviously when most of the characters are wearing tights and most of the characters have such incredibly insane costumes such as Cyclops and Psylocke, trying to translate something like Deadpool is probably pretty hard. Although I don't think it would have been as much because they've done stuff like Spider-Man successfully before that movie even came out, and for some reason they just decided to go with this bald-faced Deadpool. This guy looks like a burn victim who went and got tattoos. He doesn't look at all like Deadpool, and the only thing that's even remotely Deadpool related is the red pants. And for some reason they decided to replace his iconic katanas and guns with laser vision and really long hand knives. Deadpool in this movie just makes no sense at all. I don't know why his eyes are burnt. I'm guessing that's supposed to replicate his mask, but it just doesn't work. Overall, it's just a really stupid costume, and I see why Ryan Reynolds constantly makes fun of it, and it's very easy to see why. It's just so weird. It's such a departure from what Deadpool is supposed to look like, and this is why we do actual costumes now, and not, try to make it super realistic, because realistic works sometimes and not all the time. So, this one is bad, and this one is just doesn't need to be happening. Well, let's move away from Marvel and just talk about the Batman Forever and Batman and Robin suits. You can't not talk about these if you're talking about superhero suits that are just bad or just plain weird. They put nipples on the Batsuit. I don't know what they were thinking, but something in Joel Schumacher's mind really needed to have nipples, apparently. So basically, they just took Michael Keaton's Batman suit, made it metallic, and put nipples on it. And then in Batman and Robin, they just made it silver, and then also put nipples on it. I don't know. It's just so weird. It's like, it's close to being really good, and then you have that, and it ruins it every time you watch the movie. I guess they were trying to replicate it being super skin tight, but even then, I don't think Batman would be wearing tights. He's always worn, like, armor and stuff to protect himself in dangerous situations. Like, he's never, ever worn, really, just a tight suit unless it was, like, the old comics. So having it like that just doesn't make sense, and then the stupid nipples, and then the over-exaggerated muscles just didn't work for me, and to be honest, it didn't work for anybody, and I had to mention it because it's so iconic to the point it's bad. It's like kind of so bad it's good, but mostly it's just bad. And another DC costume that I absolutely hate, that I find to be one of the weirdest ones, is the Halle Berry Catwoman suit from that old stupid Catwoman movie. I've expressed my hatred for this movie before, and it's not without warrant. This movie is like taking a metal dagger and knifing myself in the balls with it, trying to watch this movie. This movie is bad. It's just so bad. The writing was just terrible. The CGI was bad. And to fit the badness, you also have this costume that just looks like they walked into, like, a Victoria's Secret and picked, like, closed their eyes and then picked 3 things, and then whatever those 3 things were, they just stuck them together and then put a cat helmet on it. This costume is just bad. It doesn't remind me of Catwoman all that much. It's just like, oh yeah, we needed to make a really skimpy outfit because it's a female superhero, so we just threw together this garbage costume that literally looks like trash bags. Yeah, it's just stupid. It's really dumb. The rest of this movie is just bad, and then the costume being like that is just doesn't make it any better, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm done. I'm not talking about it anymore. It's just bad, and that's all you need to know. Going back to X-Men, the Mystique is one I've always had a problem with. At least the first 3 X-Men movies, they've always had her look like this, which is just confusing to me. She kind of traumatized me as a child, because when I watched these X-Men movies for the first time, I was just so unbelievably surprised to see a half-naked blue woman on the screen, constantly murdering people for no reason. I mean, look in the comics, she has a costume, so I don't know what the problem was. Yeah, obviously that whoever makes X-Men movies just hates adding costumes in. Like, they just hate them. That's why all the characters have black leather suits with white lining on all of them, because apparently costumes are too hard to do. I feel like it would have been cheaper to just make an actual superhero costume for each of the characters rather than spending this much money on leather. I mean, it doesn't look great at all. At least the movies were good and full of fun action scenes, but I don't understand the Mystique one. I guess they were trying to go more edgy with it, and it ended up just being strange looking and unsettling and overall just weird, and I don't know about it. It's off-putting to me, and there it is. Yeah. But let's go back to DC. I don't really like this suit. This Batman Gotham suit. This one I find to be just very weird. It almost looks like they put it together with like Halloween costume parts. Like they walked into a party city and then just picked out a bunch of Batman related stuff and it kind of just got put together, but it doesn't blend together at all. It's like if you had a child go in to pick Batman stuff and he'd pick like stuff from 19 different franchises of Batman, and it would end up looking really weird. Like that's what that looks like. It just looks off, and it was only there for like 2 seconds, and then like the more and more you look at it, the more weird it looks, and I just don't like it that much. And it's one of the weirder ones, especially because of the fact they made a whole costume just to show it for a literal one scene that lasted like not even 30 seconds is beyond me. And there it is, it looks like that. And we obviously gotta mention the Flash movie suit. This is one of those instances where movie superhero costumes just needed to have stayed on the drawing board. So, I like the costume that Zack Snyder had in the Justice League movies, with the Flash. That was really cool looking. I think it's like one of the cooler looking versions of Flash. It was very unique. He had that armored look with all the strings on it. It looked cool. Like, it was a cool look for the Flash. And then you have the actual Flash movie, and you've got this horribly CGI'd, spandex-looking thing. He just looks like a freaking chili pepper. Like, what are we doing? They look like they tried to, like, take a balloon and stretch it over a Lego minifigure to make the costume. It doesn't look right. Especially because with how much of the costume is CGI, and then how bad the CGI was in this movie. It just doesn't work at all. And the weird, like, clear aspect of the helmet with the rest of the suit, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. This costume sucks, and it's weird looking. It just makes him look so weird. It doesn't work. So yeah, Flash costume. Not a good one. Another X-Men one is the Juggernaut costume. I never understood this costume. I always liked Juggernaut as a kid. I thought he was such a cool looking character. He had that stupid dome mask, and he was so big, and he had all that armor. It almost looked like he was made of bricks. And then you go to the Juggernaut Last Stand movie, and he just looks like a big dude in a freaking rock helmet. Like, I didn't know it was Juggernaut until he said it was Juggernaut.
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
And that's the only reason I know it's Juggernaut. It doesn't look good. It just looks like they took like freaking He-Man and then mixed it with like Transformers, and then you get this. Like, that looks like those helmets that those Decepticon guys wear. It looks stupid, and it's another weird one where it was just like, it's almost there, but then it isn't, and that's like obviously where they actually started putting a little bit of effort into the costumes, but obviously that effort is lost. And then we also have one of the weirdest looking designs for a character I've ever seen is the Joker. Obviously, the Joker is super iconic. I mean, if you have a Batman movie, you have to have the Joker. And the Joker has had some really great designs over the years. He's had some great outfits, some different looks for him. And then one of the weirdest and one of the worst ones we've ever gotten is the Jared Leto Joker in the Suicide Squad. I don't know what they were thinking. I guess they were trying to go with like a younger version of the Joker, but with all the tattoos, the grill, the slicked back hair, him constantly not wearing a shirt, the one glove, and then that stupid crocodile print purple coat thing, it just didn't work at all. It was like, oh, we're getting a new Joker, and then that is the Joker you got. Like, it was very disappointing, and it just looks so weird. It doesn't, like, you could not even tell it's Joker. You'd probably think it's, like, Joker's son, or one of Joker's thugs, before you'd ever think it was actually Joker. Joker does not need tattoos, ever. Never, ever does he need face tattoos. We should not make this mistake ever again. Stop trying to make young Jokers. It never works. They all look like bad cosplayers. Just stop. Literally, though, I've seen cosplayers who probably are younger than Jared Leto who look better than that Joker. It's insane. Anyway, another one is like what the MCU movies now is Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. I thought just had some of the weirdest costumes. I mean, they have had like some of the most drastically ridiculous costumes in the comic books, so I don't know I really wasn't expecting them to look the way they were in the Age of Ultron, but when I first saw them, I legit didn't even know that they were the same characters because of how different their costumes were. Quicksilver just has this weird tight shirt with some lightning bolts on it, and then Scarlet Witch just has a red cloak jacket thing, and then that's it. And then her character gets like absolutely murdered, and then like she did have a comic accurate costume for a little bit, and then the one movie she had it in, she died, and then Quicksilver died, and then we had the Quicksilver recast, and then the recast, he then died, and then it was all very confusing, and the costumes just didn't look that good. And the X-Men version where there was a Quicksilver in the X-Men movie also didn't look good. It was just like a silvery jacket. Yeah, I don't know why they did them like that. I don't know why. I mean, I guess that's just the MCU standard. It's just, if you don't want to make a comic accurate costume, make it in the form of armor or a leather jacket, and people will be fine with it. And that's what they've done every single time, and it seems to have worked. So there they are in their weird costumes. And then we have Daredevil in the She-Hulk show. This one was absolutely one of the weirdest ones I've ever seen, because that's when they started actually trying to do comic accurate costumes, but I think with Daredevil it just doesn't work. It was way better when he had the red costume, and then they gave him the yellow costume. And to be honest with you, I hate the yellow costume. I've never liked Daredevil in that yellow and brown suit. It just doesn't look... He just looks corny. He just looks like an absolute cornball. What are you going to be more afraid of? A guy in a bright yellow banana suit jumping around the roof in broad daylight smacking people to death? Or are you going to be scared of the blind dude with an all-red suit that looks like an actual devil jumping on you in midnight for no reason? I'm going to go with the latter, I think that's what it is. But speaking of Daredevil, let's go back to that 2008 movie. Oh my gosh. Daredevil from 2008. That movie was a blast, wasn't it? And we got two villains. We had Kingpin and we had Daredevil. We had Kingpin and we had Bullseye. And those are two great villains to have in a movie. Except when Bullseye is wearing like a purple crocodile skin jacket, which seems to be like a theme with superhero villains now, and a target carved into his head. We had a super accurate costume for Ben Affleck's version of Daredevil, like the best version of the costume I've seen on live action. And then you have another guy who also has a cool costume in the comics, just being relegated to a bald guy with a target on his face. Like, oh, okay, this isn't a costume. This is just a homeless dude who throws knives at people. This one was not good. I don't know what they were doing with it. They did it, though. And I'm really glad that in Daredevil Born Again, we actually got a comic-accurate Bullseye costume, which we've needed for literally 17-something years, I think, at this point. So, good job, MCU. You did it right, but they didn't do that right. That just... I mean, look at his head. It's just carved in there. Who's gonna be scared of that? Oh, did you do that yourself? Oh, no, shut up, bro. Let's go back to DC and talk about the Black Adam movie, which if anybody remembers this movie, then I'm very surprised, because I even forgot about it, but I remember really not liking his costume in this. It just looks burnt. It's like they just, like, took The Rock and put him in, like, lava for a little bit and pulled him out, and then he's, like, all charred from the bottom up. Like, that... It doesn't look right. I mean, we went from Shazam having a super comic-accurate costume that looked really good to Black Adam just... looking like that. I mean, why does he look burnt? They literally made The Rock look like a rock. Like, they actually put an effort to make him look like a boulder. It's actually hilarious how it looks. And he's got the torn up cape, like, oh, really? Wow, incredible. Like, I really probably would have liked Black Adam more if the writing was good, first off, but also if they actually got the costume right. They got the costume for Atom Smasher, Hawkman, and Dr. Fate right, but you can't get Black Adam, your main character's costume, right? That doesn't make any sense. This costume is bad. He looks like a charred marshmallow. F-tier costume. We need to do a costume tier list. Hey, you viewers, if you want to see me rate superhero costumes on a tier list, subscribe and let me know down below if you want to see that, because that would be really fun. This one is going in F tier, though. Fantastic Four 2014. Is it 2014? I'm pretty sure it is. The bad one, you know. It's fantastic. That movie was just... Oh my gosh. First time I saw it, I couldn't understand what I was watching half the time. At first, I thought I was, like, on drugs for a little bit with that weird Reed Richards CGI scene. I think casting for this movie was good, and it had a direction, I think, at least, but then it just fell off so much. The costumes, number one, it was just another case of directors being embarrassed by the past, so much to the point where they don't want to do an actual costume. I really liked the costumes in the two previous Fantastic Four movies, you know, one in Silver Surfer, Rise of the Silver, 2 Surfer, 4 Fantastic 2, 4 of the Surfer. But yeah, when they had actual comic costumes, that was cool. And then this reboot comes out, and you're like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do for the costumes. Nothing. They didn't have costumes. They had these skin-tight black suits. And then the Thing was just straight up naked. They didn't even want to give him the blue shorts. They just made him naked. It's just naked Thing. Thing's not naked. I don't know what they were doing, but they did it. Again, I'm going to say that a lot, but like, look at Michael B. Jordan in his weird sports tracksuit. I don't understand. Oh, another thing I don't understand is why does the Fantastic Four like casting people who are already characters in the Marvel Universe in like two separate Marvel universes as separate characters? Like, remember when Captain America was Human Torch? And then we have Killmonger as Johnny Storm? Like, what's going on? Yeah, these costumes were just bad. I understand where they're trying to go. They're trying to go with a more realistic, gritty feel. But when you're doing Fantastic Four, you gotta do the costumes right. And Fantastic Four is super iconic, but you gotta do their costumes correctly. You can't do this. You just can't. And then we have the new Falcon. This is one of the weirdest costumes I've seen in a Marvel movie. The new Falcon from the newest Captain America movie, which if anybody went to see this movie, I'd be very surprised, because it was a bore fest, to be honest with you. It was just very boring. Except for when Red Hulk came on screen for a total of 2 minutes. But, they have this new Falcon, because since the old Falcon is the Captain America in this movie, they have to have a brand new Falcon, because without Falcon, the Avengers can't exist, because apparently Captain America with wings isn't good enough for you. So they have the new Falcon. If I didn't tell you that that's the new Falcon, who would you think it is? Yeah, he looks like Vulture. He looks like Vulture. Why would you give the guy with wings green armor when there's already another dude with wings who's infamously green and is more well known than this guy? I don't understand, but they did it. And I keep saying that, but it's because they keep doing it. I don't know why. Why is he green? Oh, his character provided nothing to the movie, and then I saw that he was green, and I'm like, is this Vulture? And it said like, oh, Marvel's Falcon, and I'm like, what do you mean Falcon? I thought this guy was Falcon. Apparently he's Captain America, and there's a separate thing from Captain America and Falcon, and this guy apparently is Falcon now, and he looks like freaking Vulture. Yeah, I don't like that one's costume. It doesn't look that great. It just looks boring, and it's just green, and I really would have liked it to be Falcon instead, but it's not Falcon, so whatever. Now let's look at Aquaman 2. I did not see this in theaters. I watched it on HBO just because I was interested to see what it was. It was the last movie in the DCU, I believe, and it was overall just not that great in terms of production. You can definitely tell it was like just half-baked, and like they really didn't care. It was very similar to the Captain America movie. It was just like meh. But for some reason, after they absolutely cooked with the previous Aquaman costumes, they just immediately went to making them extremely boring and not interesting in this next movie. I don't know why. I watched this movie expecting to see Jason Momoa in that pointy, orange-scaled Aquaman costume, and then I saw this. I don't know why, but it's there, and it's a thing. For some reason, they gave Black Manta a more comic book accurate costume, but then they made Aquaman's costume try to look more realistic. The problem is, I liked it when Black Manta's costume looked more realistic and Aquaman's looked more like a comic book. But for some reason, they swapped roles, and it didn't work. I don't know what was happening here, but it happened, and it doesn't look great, and I don't know why they would have changed it after they did so well with the previous Aquaman costume. I mean, look at how cool that looks. no matter how crazy the colors are, he still managed to make it look cool, Jason Momoa, and for some reason, it looks like that, and it doesn't look that cool anymore. It just looks boring. It's the boring costume syndrome that infects superhero movies. But I don't like it. I don't think anybody else liked it. Anybody who actually watched the movies. I'm not sure that was a lot of people at all. But that's what it looks like, and I don't like the look of it at all. Another costume I really didn't like was just the Iron Spider MCU suit. I don't know what they were thinking here. I mean, obviously they're trying to make it look like, oh, if Tony Stark made a Iron Man Spider-Man suit. And then, like, yeah, I guess, but like, why did you not make it just red and gold? What is all this blue crap? I don't want it to look like Metal Spider-Man. I want it to look like Iron Spider, the red and gold guy. He looks so much cooler than this. This suit keeps appearing. They don't want to kill this suit. They want to keep throwing it in places. I don't want to see this suit anymore. I don't like nanotech, and I don't like the Iron Spider suit. I want a physical Spider-Man suit, and if you do Iron Spider, do it correctly. Don't do this again. This was not nice. I was like, oh, I heard we're gonna get Iron Spider in the next Infinity War and whatnot, and then I see it, and I'm like, that's not Iron Spider. That's stupid Spider. I don't like it. If you like this costume, let me know in the comments. I didn't, to be honest. It was just boring. But yeah, I think comic book movies have actually started doing a lot better in terms of costumes. Like, they're actually starting to get more comic accurate costumes onto the screen and doing it well, actually, instead of just doing like super dark realistic costumes. And trust me, I like some of the dark realistic costumes. I like the Ben Affleck Batman costume, and I like some of the X-Men costumes that were made, but like, some of them just didn't really need to be that serious. But like, I recently watched Thunderbolts, and they actually gave Sentry a costume. That was cool, like a full-on Sentry costume. That's a huge departure from Marvel, who has never ever done comic accurate, bright colored superhero suits before, apart from like Iron Man. But yeah, I think that's cool, and the fact that we're getting more of that is great. And I still want realistic suits, like the Pattinson Batman suit being super realistic is really cool. But back in the 2000s, apparently that was unheard of, you know, when you're making a comic book movie, to do the costume correctly, how the comic book character looks. Apparently that's just a foreign concept. But there they are, and those are some of the weirdest costumes in superhero movies that I have ever seen in my life. This video should hopefully help directors learn to never do these things again. All of these things are mistakes. Never do them again. Please, for the rest of time. If you want to see a tier list of me, you know, doing a tier list of all of the best superhero costumes and the worst superhero costumes, then subscribe. And let me know down below if you want that. And I will do it, because that sounds cool. But without further ado, I have been me. There's my channel name. And you have been you, and you have watched my video. And that I thank you for. So, check out the rest of my channel. Discord link is down below. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!